The amount of questions ranging from 1 to 2 children was very hard. I don't want to know how it is to have twins. Favorite and least favorite things about living in South Korea. On the other hand, this is also something that I don't like. Do you think Fanta will actually become a singer, entertainer, and a plus soccer player? How has your sex life changed? Became even better? The one thing that you want your kids to learn as they grow. Follow their own mind. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I thought, what's the best way to finish off this year with you guys? And I haven't done for a while a proper Q&A session and just to talk with you guys. I'm a person who usually don't has to share a lot of things, but then when I get some questions, I always feel like, okay, I actually do have to share a lot of things. Let's dive into this big Q&A session. I hope I can keep it short, like it's not gonna get too long, because the amount of questions that came, it's insane. The ones in red are those that I chose to answer. I'm actually so happy about the questions that you sent me, because there are some very interesting questions as well. There are some repetitive questions, which is okay. I will link all the other Q&As that we did so far in the description down below. There were also a lot of very new questions and I really had to choose which one to answer. But thanks again for sending all these questions. I think we're gonna have a very good talk. I do have some crochet project here with me. I will see how much I can crochet while I'm talking with you guys, but I want to focus more on the talk with you. Also, almost forgot to mention, most of the Q&A that I did so far were many times together with Jungkook, but I feel like especially these questions that came here are so much directed to me only, so that's why I was like, there's no need for him to just sit by and listen me talk. I decided to organize the structure a little bit so that there is like not one random question after the other. I actually did some categories, and the first category is my life in Korea as a foreigner. How do you like being a creator in Korea? Any odd challenges you didn't see coming? I pretty much like being a creator in Korea. I don't know how it is in another country. I feel like probably there would be even more opportunities if I would live in another country, because a lot of events, creator events that are organized here in Korea are for Korean influencers only, so we don't get invited to many. And one thing that I don't like so much, but I think it's gonna change sooner or later, that is the fact that if we get invited to events, we get invited to foreign creator only events, so we actually don't get to meet Korean creators at all. The same brand makes just two different events, and I think it would be much cooler to do everything together, especially because a lot of creators nowadays speak Korean as well, so it's not a big problem for us to get a Korean presentation. What are your favorite and least favorite things about living in South Korea? My favorite thing about living in Korea is that it's such a fast-paced country. I really like the fact that there's always something new to do. You never get bored. On the other hand, this is also something that I don't like. I feel like people don't value small things, but I think now society in general became like this, not only here, but I feel like it's very difficult to make someone happy with small things. I don't value a lot like material things. Of course, I do have a lot of material things, so I cannot say that I totally don't like them, but when it comes to present, for example, I don't value a lot material presents, because these are things that I can by myself as well. I value much more self-made stuff, and I feel like here it's not that common as, for example, in my hometown. What are some difficulties you face having kids in Korea as a foreigner? I think there are not a lot of difficulties that I'm facing. I think a big reason to that is that I have a very supportive husband and a supportive family-in-law here, because they don't pressure me to follow any traditional Korean rules. But on the other hand, it's also something that has to do with myself. I'm a person who is okay with a lot of things. I'm not so strict about following a certain rule or keeping certain ways. I don't know how to explain. Like, culture and tradition is very important for me. Like, for example, Christmas and certain festivities that we celebrate a little bit different than here. But on the other hand, there are a lot of things that I just understand when they're done differently. So I just accept it. Advice for people who want to move to Korea but don't want to be an English teacher. This is actually a good question. I got a lot of questions about advices, how to find a Korean husband or dating. I don't have an answer for that, but I have an answer for this one. I think it's getting more and more easy to work in Korea and not work as a English teacher or an entertainer, because this is what most people do here. Especially now that I work with a lot of Korean brands, they usually have a global team, and the global team usually has, it used to have a lot of Koreans who grew up overseas who can speak very good English, but now they're also hiring a lot of foreigners, like people from outside. If you're interested in working in Korea, you can just do a LinkedIn profile and just check out places where they look for international stuff. Do you plan on living in Korea forever, or are you undecided? I don't want to say forever. You never know what happens with life, but I do know that I really like it here, and one main reason why I'm still not considering to move somewhere else is because I really like the balance that we have here. We don't live directly in Seoul, but we live very close to Seoul. So we both, Jungwoo and I, are people who really love the city, but also get overwhelmed a little bit by all those people. So that's why we found a perfect balance right now where we live. We still can hang out in Seoul anytime. I honestly drive to Seoul many times a week, but also for kids, it's good not to be in a city but to be more in nature, and we have that because that's something that I really missed about my hometown. It was way too small and it was way too far from like some big city. So that's why we were always stuck into that small countryside world. Also, another reason why I feel like I want to still keep living here is that I, even though not so much, but I still get some other jobs, and even though it's not many, it still makes a difference, like getting those every once in a while. Let's move over to the next section, which is more or less questions about parenting and families. How has the transition from one child to two been? Honestly, I must say the transition for no child to one child was pretty easy, even though, like, of course there are a lot of things that are super new to you, but I feel like you still have more time to do stuff that you want to do. But the transition from one to two children was very hard for us because they are so close together. When Ardo was born, Fanta was still very like dependent of us. Like going up and down the stairs, for example, you still need to hug her, so you have to hug two children. Things from everyday life get very very hard once you have like two very little children. So I don't want to know how it is to have twins. I really wonder how people handle that. I think later on probably it's gonna get better. They are starting to play with each other. They also fight with each other, but especially traveling. I remember when I was a child, I was like a lonely child until I was 8 years old. I remember being always by myself, like when there was like family travels or family meetings. I was always bored because it was only me and all other adults. But now Fanta and Ardo, they always have each other. When your kids speak English, are you worried about that? Actually, no. In my hometown, we started English in middle school, so I didn't speak one word of English until then. I feel like I'm very conversational now. You know, it's just about their own interests. I watched a lot of shows in English. I listened to a lot of songs and stuff. So if you are interested in a language, you'll be able to learn it. English is so much used so that it's much easier to learn. Actually, I realized they do type of English play at daycare already. Would you teach your kids Italian and Pular as well, or just German and Korean? I would love to teach them Pular and Italian as well, but the thing is, I want to talk with Fanta and Ardo only one language. I want to be consistent in talking only one language, and that's my language I'm most conversational with, and that's German because I grew up in a German household. I talked in Pular to my dad, but that's the only person who I talked Pular with, and all other people I talked in German. Also, most of my friends are German speaking South Tyroleans. Like, I don't have a lot of Italian speaking friends. In South Tyrol, we do have every school in two language. You can choose if you want to do all your school career in Italian or in German. And I did everything in German. Italian, actually, I only spoke when I was at the bar or at the restaurant, or when I had to talk with like the person at the market. I think you need to go to South Tyrol in order to understand that special type that we have there. Sleep training advice from your experience with Fanta and Ardo. We didn't sleep train. There are phases where they sleep very good. Ardo actually sleeps very good. But Fanta slept very good until she reached his age as well. She just started to become more, I wouldn't say difficult, but just like different. There are phases where it's very good, and there's phases where it's like really frustrating, but we didn't sleep train. So I cannot give a lot of advices on that. What is the one thing that you want your kids to learn as they grow? One thing that I really want them to learn as they grow is to follow their own mind. I remember I was a person who was not very much into always following like things that friends are doing. Like, I had my own interest, but I didn't care if it's trendy or not. I didn't care if my friends are doing it or not. So I really hope they're gonna get that type of mindset that no matter what other people think about it, if they like something, they just go for it. Do you think Fanta will actually become a singer, entertainer, and a soccer player? I don't know. It's a fun cultural thing that people do here in Korea, and if they pursue the type of career or not, actually I don't care because it's their life, and I just want them to do the thing that they are happy with. Now let's move over to the next section, which is like marriage and relationship, and I got some very interesting questions on that as well. So how do you guys spice up your relationship after being together for so long and with two kids? How do we do that? Many people say you should go on dates, you should have date nights and stuff like this. We both are people that are not so much into going to big parties or like going out at night. We are both more like home people. So going out on a date is not something that we really want to do, but we do have our time together. We do love watching dramas together. We do like eating good stuff together, like good food with some good wine, and like this type of dates. That's our type of dates that we like, and we don't really miss anything else. Do you intentionally make time for just the two of you? We don't do it intentionally, but the thing is that once the kids are sleeping, it's usually our time. I feel like we do have a lot of time for us because, especially now that Ardo is sleeping through the night, Fanta every now and then she wakes up, but I would say we still have 2 to 3 hours for ourselves where we just be together. Some days we choose to be together, sometimes we choose to have like our alone time. Jungo as well as me, we do need our alone time as well, but we have also our time for the just two of us. We don't plan anything, but I feel like we do have the perfect balance on that. And if we want to go somewhere, we actually much more like going out during the day. Whenever we have free day while the kids are at daycare, we just go out on a day date. We don't do night dates, but we like to do day dates. How do you divide household labor at home? This is something that we really had to talk about very deeply every now and then because routines change over time, and so household labor change, and that's why it's, I think, to just give a suggestion to you guys and without going too deep into detail about how we divide our household labor, because for everyone it's different. It's very important to just check out what is one person good at, what one person likes to do, and then also try to divide those type of works in order so that everyone does the thing that they like. If there's something that both don't like, to just divide them fairly and not to expect too much from the other person. I feel like nagging can become a very bad habit in a relationship, so always try to be kind to each other. This is also one thing that sometimes when I get stressed, I lose temper, but I'm very fortunate to have a husband who's very calmed down and who actually doesn't lose temper towards me. This is a reason why we actually almost never end up into a fight, because maybe I might anticipate it, but he's the one to end it. Is there anything you guys can seem to agree about? It's usually a lot of discussions that we do, but there are still some things that we don't really agree about, especially when it comes to, I don't know, it sounds stupid, but there are some things that we both are not experts about. For example, when it comes to when a child gets sick, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to give the child a medicine or not? Then what we do, I check out my sources on the internet and he checks like his sources, and about the same topic sometimes Korean websites say a totally different thing than like English or German websites. We clearly don't agree about it, but usually I feel like we have a very good balance again, that sometimes I just say, okay, then let's do your way, and sometimes he just says, okay, let's do my way. Even though we don't agree about one certain thing, we balance it out with agreeing on the other thing. How has your sex life changed after two babies, and other ways do you what other ways do you practice intimacy? I feel like that it became even better after two children. I think the reason is because you just get much more comfortable around each other. You gave birth in front of that person, and there are aspects in life that we went through together, like good ones and bad ones, and I feel like exactly these aspects in life made us become even closer and even more intimate with each other. So I feel like it got better by the years. That's also one reason why I feel like it's true that the longer a relationship lasts, the more comfortable and you melt with each other. You become almost the same person. We are not really actually like focusing so much on that. We just go with the flow. Let's move over to the next section, which is self-care and personal growth. Do you ever make time for yourself, and what would you do if you had 3 days just for you? Honestly, I would just crochet the whole day. Like, I'm not interested in doing any like girls trip or alone trip or like spa or like, I don't know, go and do my nails or get a massage. No, I'm not interested in those things. The only thing that I want to do is being in a cozy home and just crochet. Fortunately, I can do that in the evening. Sometimes I just exaggerate it because I then crochet for too long at night, and then I'm angry that I'm tired the next day. Sometimes I overdo it, but I feel like I do have my fair share of alone time. How have you been maintaining your weight and fitness lately? Share some tips. I did a lot of workout after Fanta's pregnancy. I was very concerned in losing my baby fat. Worked out every day. During Ardo's pregnancy, I did do some workout, but I didn't do it that strongly. And then when Ardo was born, I did do workout for a few months right after, but I must say the last few months you haven't really seen me sharing a lot of workout things, and that's the reason why I haven't been really doing a lot of workout lately. I feel like I really found balance again. I feel like that's the best thing to just call it. Balance really improves your life. I also found balance in nutrition and moving. I don't work out, but I move a lot. We do live on 3 floors, which is a reason why I move a lot. I'm never too lazy to run up to the 3rd floor for the third time because I forgot again something. This is, I think, one reason why I stay fit even though I don't really work out. I try to eat as much as possible non-processed food, but on the other side I'm not too strict about it. Balance again is key. Also, not thinking too much about wanting to lose weight helped me to lose weight. I don't know why. What lessons have you learned from this year? Tomorrow is also another day. I can do it tomorrow as well, because I'm the type of person who wants to do everything in one day, and sometimes it's just not possible. Sometimes I just need to say, "Today I'm done working. I'm just gonna enjoy time with my family and just don't think about it anymore." It's difficult, but this is, I think, a challenge that especially freelancers have, because you're never done with work. If you could go back in time, what's the one thing you would change about your life? When I read this question, I was thinking maybe nothing. It sounds, yeah, blah blah blah. Even though there were some very hard times in my life, I just feel like those made me stronger. I really didn't like my high school years. We really had a lot of work to do. We had to study so much. Things that I've learned from that time made me endure stress and many other things much easier. University was much easier because high school was so hard for me. I do have a university degree that I don't use, so I could say that was like lost time, because I don't really use those 6 years that I've studied. But I've learned a lot of things during that time which changed me and which changed my point of view in life. And so that's why I think every single thing that I went through really helped me grow, and so that's why I would not change anything. Now let's move over to the next topic, which is summarize it in cultural roots and identity. Maybe, do you sometimes feel a language barrier with your husband? It's something that I never felt in the past, but I feel like the longer now we are together, the more sometimes language barriers arise, even though we speak much better. Like, I speak much better Korean and he speaks much better English now, but there are much more things that we do have to organize in our daily lives. Sometimes we do have some misunderstandings, but I mean, that's life. I've seen a lot of misunderstandings with my parents as well. They also had some type of language barrier. It's not something where you should get like frustrated about. Just talk about it again, and then it actually works out. Have your in-laws met your parents in real life? Yes, they have. And my parents came when Fanta was born. We had like dinner a few times together. So yes, they did meet. Have you ever been to Senegal? Do you make traditional Senegalese food? Yes, I've been to Senegal, and a lot of many questions as well. If I ever want to go to Senegal with my kids, I do, and especially I want to go together with my dad again, but it's not the time yet. About the traditional Senegalese food, I'm sorry, but no, but I think I should try to make some. How do you handle moments when you feel disconnected from your own cultural roots? That's the reason why I cook a lot of homemade dishes from my hometown. The taste really reminds you of your childhood. Like, for example, the Christmas cookies that I make every year, I only make the same ones that I ate as a child, because exactly of that reason. It reminds me of my own cultural roots. Do you feel like you've lost some of your own tradition and taken on more Korean ways in your family? I don't think so. The reason why is also, I think a successful international marriage only works if both parts do pressure their own culture, but are still not 100% my culture is the best. We do both love our culture, but we do both know that there are some things that we don't like about our culture, and that's where we meet. Let's round this up in some miscellaneous questions. These are questions that didn't fit into anything. I still wanted to keep them. Still not all of them, but some of them. What motivated you to get a PhD? And would you ever work in that field again? I didn't finish my PhD. I was in my second year. I had to do the last year. That's when I decided to first go to Korea and have like a gap year. I think I would never finish it again. Also, don't say never, but I don't think so, because I would have to learn so much because it's a very, very deep topic. I mean, PhD, it's really very like detailed, so I don't think I would be able to also work in that field unless I would just try to catch up on so many other things. So on the other hand, I really like my job right now, because it's the perfect job how I can balance my interests, my family life and my work life. I don't think I would be as balanced if I would work for a company like economic research company. I don't think so. I'm happy that I have that degree and that I know about all these things, but I don't want to work in that field again. What's one country place you would both travel to if you had a chance? We really want to go to Japan. We don't want to go and live there, but we want to travel there because we both love a lot of things about Japan. We actually planned a Japan trip for so many times now, but we want to go and enjoy it by ourselves as well and not it to be like a trip with kids again. So probably we're gonna go one day when we can go together with either a family member so that they can also be a little bit with the kids, or just like the two of us. More kids, or are you thinking about the third child? So many people ask this. We don't know. I would not be against having a third child. I want, but then I don't want. Having again that baby face, it's so magical, it's so beautiful, even though it's hard. I already feel like I miss sometimes the baby face. But on the other hand, we do travel to Italy once a year, and this means traveling with 3 kids, lots of money and lots of stress. That's one thing. And then the other thing is like, either it's gonna come soon. I don't want to have a big age gap between our kids, but you never know. Not everything is in our hands. We will see what the universe will decide for us to be. How do you balance work, social media, and family life? Do you feel tired a lot? And I think, yes, that's the last question. First of all, I'm always tired. The reason why I'm always tired has also to do with the fact that I just want to do too much in one day. So that's why it's something that I really need to change for the upcoming new year. I need to learn when to stop. I accept too many jobs. I always want to finish everything at the same day so that I have sometimes 2 long working days. And then sometimes I want to have too much of a me time, which means I'm crocheting until very late at night. I talked a lot about balance here before, but I think I still need to find that perfect balance. I feel like it's already good. I need to just do a little bit less. I think I can just finish off this Q&A session and this little talk with you guys by saying this. Maybe that's also a reason why I'm able to handle so well the Korean life, because I'm a person who always wants to deliver. I think a lot of people who are not used to that fast-paced culture get too much stressed and overwhelmed. But on the other hand, I feel like it's very important also to move a step back as well. That said, I hope I could answer your questions. I'm sorry for those questions that I didn't answer, probably on the next one. And with that, I just had to think when this video will come out. But with that, I wish you a happy new year, and I will see you in 2025. See you, bye bye.